Are you born gay?
Gee, am I gay? I must be sick. Why am I feeling this?
Can you change it?
Is it the genes? Is it the brain? Is it their gonads?
Should you change it?
Being gay is the greatest gift I was ever given.
Why Am I Gay? Stories of coming out in America. An America Undercover exclusive. Coming up next on HBO. What you learn will open your eyes.
Undercover. Unrelenting. Unforgettable.
I grew up here in Castle Hill, in the Bronx. We were the first Puerto Rican family to move into the neighborhood. For a long time, I thought I was all alone. I didn't think there was anyone else in this whole world like me. I remember I wanted to hug my guy friends. I remember I had, for a long time, I had these desires to kiss them and touch them, but I was terrified of doing it. And I just thought that I was different. There was just something unique about me, but I wasn't a faggot. Because I didn't grow up like a faggot, you know, I grew up like everyone else. I was taught a faggot was somebody weak and wimpy. I took a lot of karate and judo when I was a kid, and I could handle myself as well as anybody else can. Probably setting up in about 2 teams, depending on how many people are available at the time. All right, I guess one's gonna be working with Ward, the other one with Kavanaugh. I think Ward's beat's gonna be working around Mercer, and Kavanaugh we're hitting 8th Street. For many years, I tried to repress the fact that I was gay. I was like this big playboy. I had all the girlfriends I could. I was a real womanizer for a while, and that was all me trying so hard to be straight.
Ms. 1432. Tennessee Robinson.
When it hit me, and it hit me very quickly, I said, gee, I'm falling in love with another guy. I was terrified. I was thinking, gee, am I gay? I must be sick. Why am I feeling this? Why can't I be in love with a girl? What's going on? And it was really, really painful. I was really afraid. I felt isolated. I thought about suicide. I was scared of people finding out. I didn't want my family, my friends, my coworkers to find out. So I remember I heard about it, about a bar, and I went down to this bar. Before I walked in it, I must have walked by the bar like 10 times. I was so terrified, I didn't want to walk into the bar. Finally, I walked into the bar. It was called Uncle Charlie's. And I was surprised to see that, there were people just like me in there. I guess I was expecting to see the stereotypes that I was taught growing up. After a good 8 years within the police department, I decided to completely come out in public. And one of the ways I came out to the public and to my coworkers was by marching in the Gay Pride Parade. I was really nervous, but I walked down 5th Avenue. I took my sunglasses off, and I waved to the cops. I saluted cops that I knew, and some cops were in shock. Their jaws dropped. They couldn't believe it. They saw me out there in the parade. And it was difficult. It was very painful. There were times I'd walk in here, and I felt like I was just walking into school for the first time in my life. You get those butterflies in your stomach? No, I'm going to do a little administrative work. I'll be out shortly. What are you going to do? And every time somebody looked at me in a funny way, I'd wonder, gee, are they looking at me in a funny way because I'm gay, is because they know I'm gay? And sometimes it was true. And it was very uncomfortable at first. Huh?
You want me to take my meal later?
What time's your meal? No, you can take it at 2. Cops reflect the real society that exists today. They're human like everyone else. And I think a lot of them are taught, you know, negative things about gays from when they're very young. All their lives, all they heard was that gay people were faggots, that they were abnormal, that they were sick. And how can you relate to someone when you have to deal with all that baggage? Yeah, it's great working with this troupe. They're the sharpest crew in the precinct. The only people sharp are the rookies. They have to be. It's very difficult for them to all of a sudden just throw down all that ignorance that they learned over those years and say, yeah, okay, you're gonna be my buddy, I'll hang out with you. Yeah, you come over and have dinner with me and my wife. It's not every cop, every person that can do that. Dismissed. Thank you. Have a safe tour, folks.
Pete's home from the hospital now, so...
Oh, that's right, yeah. How's he doing?
He's doing all right.
There's a pretty good percentage of cops here that accept me totally.
But he's gonna be home. We'll go to therapy now when the cast comes off.
Thanks for taking the time. I'll see them off duty. I'll feel really warm with them. I have a real love for them, and I know that they have a real love for me too.
I'm just gonna assign to him.
Just tell me when. And you got all the access you want. All right. Have a safe one. See you later. We change. We shower in the same area. You know, no one ever covers up or anything. I think they're beyond that. They recognize that, you know, I'm not. You know, neither one of us is there for any sexual reason or anything like that, you know. Kathy's not working this details.
No, she's not working.
All right, see, I have her down. There's a small percentage everywhere, and maybe even there's like one or two in this command that probably hate me for being gay. Whatever the case, I have to live my life, and I just can't spend my time worrying about how they feel about me all the time. All right. See you guys later. Enjoy. Safe one. Ever since I could remember, I've always wanted to be a cop or a doctor. And it's wonderful to work here. I love being a cop here. I love the diversity. I love people.
One of our kids at a gay and lesbian center that we run was gay bashed about 4 nights ago. And we've been finally able to talk him into pressing charges against those who bashed him so that hopefully in the future this won't happen. So we've been working with him the last couple of days, assuring him that we would stand as an organization behind him.
Is he comfortable talking to me?
He's very comfortable talking to you, and in fact, the only reason that he would go and press charges was because, you know, I said Officer Rodriguez is willing to stand behind you and also, you know, work with you on the incident.
They keep on hitting me. They was calling me faggot and all those bad words. It was 4 of them and 13 more. Then her brother say, I think I'm gonna kick your little ass. They keep on hitting me 10 times, 15 times, something like that.
They put his head through the wood plank.
Really?
Yeah. They had to replace it at T-Potato. You know, so the manager...
Did you go to the hospital?
I haven't gone.
Do you have any injuries on you now?
He had some bruises and some red indentations.
So how are you feeling?
Fine.
And how are you feeling inside?
Not so good.
So good? Okay. Well, we're gonna take care of you, okay? So keep your chin up. I heard of a statistic that really shocked me. The highest rate in suicide was in lesbian and gay youth. And I learned it was because so many people like me were in the closet and they had no role models to look up to. You're really afraid for your friends and family to let you down and to not support you. And it's very painful to think that they're going to disown you or not love you because you're gay. I remember when I came out to you, I was so nervous in the car. But I made my mind up. I said, I have to tell you about it because I can't go on living a lie and I can't go on without them knowing who I am.
I started remembering the days when you had, like I told you, you had so many girlfriends and so many boys coming in and out that I couldn't believe. It really destroyed me for a while, and I didn't want you to know about it.
Now, you didn't want me to tell Pop still. You said, remember, can I quote you? You said, don't tell your father, it'll kill him.
That's what I said. It's going to break his heart.
It'll kill him, he's going to die. Yeah. Don't tell him. You were flipping out.
What did you say when he told you? What did you say?
Well, I told him to be careful, take care of himself, because there's a lot of people out there, they are prejudiced.
Remember that you told me that you had two choices. One was moving away where I didn't see your lifestyle, and another one was telling me. So I'm glad you told me, because no way I'm going to have you far away from us, not knowing what you are doing or not knowing if you need us or things like that. You see, Eggie, you are my son. I love you. I always said you are the light of my eyes.
Right now I'm dating this guy, Paul. We're getting very close, and we've been spending a good few months together. And for the time we've been together, we've grown to know and love each other just like everyone else would know and grow to love each other in 3 months. I don't know. I don't think anybody would actually stand like this. Come on, hanging out. I mean, these guys are not in love. Oh, you stand like that. Okay, you do that. You gotta look this way. Look straight ahead.
When you smile,
dude, what's up? What's happening? Doesn't make it, does it? No Edgars. I can't believe it. I should have had a different name. What do you think? Let's change my name.
Blake. It sounds like a soap opera guy.
Kyle? Kyle? No. Shane. How's Shane sound? No. Can't find my name. Thanks. My affection, my love that I share with my boyfriend is just as profound and strong, and I'm just as protective and loving as anyone else that loves someone of the opposite sex.
That's what I wanted to watch.
I'll tell you, I would never change if I had the opportunity. If somebody said there was a pill that I could take to be straight, I never want it.
What the hell is going on here?
Daddy, you're making John and me nervous.
Well, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to make anybody nervous. How about you, Chris? Are you nervous? Sit down, Doctor, before you make me nervous.
Would anybody like a cup of coffee?
You know, there's a common myth in our society that you can teach somebody to be homosexual. I don't believe it. The reason I don't believe it is because we have so much evidence from around the world that you cannot teach people to be homosexual any more than you can teach them to be heterosexual. Why is this? It's because people have a desire. They know what their desires are. Most people are not confused about their desires. They're pretty clear what they are. Where does that desire come from? If you ask people questions in other cultures and in our culture, they say time and time again, that's what I felt since I was really small. Since I was 2, 3, 4 years old. Where does it come from? Is it the genes? Is it the brain? Is it their gonads? Something powerful inside of them is producing the most powerful attraction. They don't learn it, and some of them wish they could dislearn it, and they're equally as unsuccessful in unlearning it as they are in learning it.
A lot of the people who have only wanted to have sex with people of their same sex probably were born with a very strong tendency to be that way, and that's supported by the fact that the numbers look so similar regardless of culture, which means that no matter how children are brought up, the same number of people in every single culture, more or less, have this pattern of behavior.
I'd like to ask if we have any self-identified straight people in the audience. Would you raise your hand?
And bisexual, actually, you can raise both hands.
There's 1 now, there's 2 over there, there's 3, there's 4.
Do you notice how they cluster together?
Mr. Sandman, I need a man. No one psychotic or Republican. Someone who will make us scream.
Flirtations bill ourselves as the world's most famous, openly gay, politically aware, a cappella, doo-wop singing group.
Sad person, bring us a dream.
I was initially drawn to the world of theater. I must have been 7 or 8. And I think why gay children are drawn to the theater is that it's an escape from the oppressive real world where you live, and you figure out early on that it's one way to become popular for being different.
Now, we don't like to generalize, but we do sometimes find that our straight friends do not have the flexibility in the wrist that the flirt greeting really requires. So think of this as a version of gay aerobics. We would like our straight friends to shake it out, get it
very
loose,
good.
get it, all right.
Very good. Oh, you're doing quite well, sir.
I was thinking as the plane was landing, and it was that kind of dull, gray, rainy, cold weather that I remember from my childhood. I've always been cold my whole life. My very earliest memories are of being tortured and tormented about feeling acutely different and knowing that something was really out of whack, that I wasn't seeing anyone in my world that looked like me or thought like me. Waves of emotion pass over me whenever I come back to the Midwest. For a long, long time, I didn't come home because it was too painful. I think this is the hospital that I was born in. Yes, this is it. Margaret Mary Hospital, Catholic hospital. At a very, very early age, they noticed that I was different, that I was a sissy. The kids in the neighborhood decided to organize a parade. I'm leading the parade, twirling a baton. My wrists are flopping, and I'm the only boy in the front with the girls. And there's this shot of me standing next to my brother, and he's in full military drag, and I'm just in pig heaven twirling my baton. I was tortured by my sexual attraction to men because I couldn't understand it. It was very vague and amorphous. I was afraid of them, but I longed to be near them. We are coming up to my high school, where I was the most tortured as a homosexual. This is the dreadful, dreadful sports field, where whenever the weather was nice, we had to play baseball, do other butch things that I hated. Here in the Midwest, sports is a religion, and there is absolutely no excuse good enough to get someone out of gym. You have to do it. And I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to control my erection around guys that I was attracted to, and that if I got an erection in the shower, it would probably be the end of my life. So what I would try to do would be to lollygag and wait around and be the last to shower. But that began to be perceived as lingering in the locker room. People would come out of the shower and flip me with wet towels, and they really hurt and stung. And I remember several times waiting to be the last to shower. I would be surrounded by boys, and they would piss on me. They would form a circle around me, and they would piss on me. It was not possible to talk to anybody about what was happening to me. Because I had the sense that people would take their side. that people would say, well, but if you have these feelings, then they deserve to pee on you, or no wonder people are punching you out. And they would say silly things like they continue to say, like, well, then so be straight. As if it was something that I woke up one day and just decided, well, instead of wearing my red sweater, I'll wear my homosexual sweater. I mean, it wasn't that simple for me.
Won't you please turn on your magic beam? Sandman, bring us a dream.
Mr. Sandman.
Do they have like reverb and stuff for the monitors?
Rick, turn off the lobby system.
That wasn't very gay. You should say, Rick, will you please turn off that lobby system?
Actually, it's very hard to sing lying down. It feels so good.
You want a chair?
No, Nadine is going to recline.
How unusual.
How unusual. Oh.
Well, let's try. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but they are not from you. As though they are with you, they belong not to you.
I have had full-blown AIDS for 10 or 11 years, depending on what date you want to count from. My skin is tender and peeling. I have the beginnings of bronchial pneumonia, which I get like clockwork every November. I'm being made nauseated by a lot of the medication that I'm on. But I'm going to perform anyway, hoping that I get that jolt of love that so often happens when I'm on stage with the Flirts. Well, you look great. Have you lost a lot of weight, or is
I've
it
gained some
tasteful
since I
flat?
signed. Yeah, tasteful. It's Patty dressing
You look
me.
great. My brother is redundantly heterosexual, happy to be heterosexual, married a really wonderful woman, and claims that he had absolutely no idea that I was gay when I came out to him. He's into bondage.
Really? Which, are you a top or a bottom?
But immediately said, well, doesn't matter to me at all. I love you. You're my brother. We've gone through, our whole lives together. You have my unconditional support. And unlike my parents, he meant his unconditional support. Right. Well,
All right, man.
go enjoy
Later.
the rest of the
Yeah.
show, and I'll see you. Careful of my scar.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Good luck. Good performance.
And now they're here. They're queer, they're severe, the fabulous Flirtations.
Bow, bow, bow,
Mama said on the day I was born, there was a shake going on. There was a party next door, and the people calling up for more, and they played that boogie all night long. All night long. I was raised on a beat that was so sweet.
I had asked my parents to come to this show tonight. They decided that they were not comfortable being in the theater and being part of this documentary. They gave me a lot of excuses before we got down to the real reason, which is shame and fear. Living in a very conservative part of the country, they are legitimately afraid of what might happen to them and their house and their children and their grandchildren if they stand up in a public way and say, we think that it's okay that our son is gay, we love him anyway. The Flirtations have become, for me, my chosen family. Gay people often talk about families of choice because we're often rejected by our biological families. And over the course of our lives, we put together families, people that we can count on in the ways that straight people count on their biological relatives.
We never actually can leave the stage unless we sing this next song. It's a lullaby, and it's called Everything Possible. This song expressed the kinds of sentiments that I would like to think that more parents would pass along to their children. You can be anybody that you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone.
Some girls grow up strong and bold. Some boys are quiet and calm.
Some race on ahead, some follow behind.
Some grow in their own space and time.
Some women love women, and some men love men. Some raise children, and some never do.
I'm pretty certain that I will never return to the Midwest again to give a concert. Cancer now covers more than 3/4 of both lungs. Traveling and singing are getting harder and harder to do.
You can love whomever you will.
I realized that some people could look at my life and say, oh, it was so sad and he died of AIDS, and isn't that tragic? But what I want to come through is that even after all the pain and all the torture and even having AIDS, I can honestly say being gay is the greatest gift I was ever given. I wouldn't change it for the world.
One special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone. Oh, the love you leave behind when you're gone.
There are currently 3 different lines of evidence that suggest that a person's sexual orientation is at least partially genetically determined. The first line of evidence comes from twin studies, which show that identical twins are very likely to have the same sexual orientation. The second line of evidence comes from extended family studies, showing that quite distant relatives often share the same sexual orientation. And I think that the most compelling evidence comes from studies in our own laboratory, which look directly at people's DNA, directly at the genes, and which show that people that are gay have a tendency to inherit one type of gene and people that are heterosexual another. Once those genes are isolated and once these results, like any scientific results, are extended and confirmed, I think it will provide truly compelling evidence that sexual orientation is, at least in part, determined not when a person is 20 or when a person is 10, or not even when a person is 1 year old, but when they're conceived, because that's when we inherit our genes.
I studied the brains of 41 people at autopsy, looking for differences between straight and gay people. Now, of course,
we know there are differences between the brains of men and women on average. There are certain parts of the brain that are bigger in men than women, and certain parts that are bigger in women than men. And there's one particular part of the brain that we've been especially interested in. It's called the hypothalamus.
It's actually this region here at the base of the brain. It's involved in the regulation of sexual drive and other instinctive behaviors. So if there's a part of the brain that's responsible for our sexual attractions, then it should be similar between most women and gay men. And that's what we find in this part of the brain where sexual feelings are generated.
Leviticus 18:22 says, "You shall not lie with a male as one lies with a female. It's an abomination."
God did not create men to be with men. He's created two sexes, and those two sexes belong together, and they belong together in the unity of marriage. Last time I saw my parents was in October. It's been about 5 months. It was my mother and dad who said, you know, we find a place for you to go, will you go? And I said, yes. And to that point of desperation, I'll go. Hi, Mom. I love you.
Oh,
Hi, Dad.
really good.
Good to see you guys.
You really like it.
You like it? Yeah, I thought you would.
Ira was 23, I believe, when I found out that he was homosexual. He says, I've met a man that I'm very fond of. I said, son, I love you, and I want more than anything else in the world for you to be happy. But I know this is not going to make you happy. He grew up in a Christian home, and from a young child, he knew his dad's viewpoints on that type of lifestyle.
I just believed it was wrong, and I didn't believe that anybody should have to live like that, and I didn't think that I didn't want to be around those kind of people. I couldn't really love them at that time or have anything to do with them, didn't want to have anything to do with them. At the time, I'd probably heard him more than anything because he couldn't come tell us.
And finally, against nature means contrary to God's original.
Yes, we found freedom at last for Ira. We were hoping that he would be able to draw closer to God and get back into the scriptures.
I believe that the Lord has called us into completion through relationship male to female. I believe that the homosexual activities that we've been involved in has come about because we've been broken people, that our emotional composition has been wounded, and that we don't know the truth.
The Bible makes it very plain that it's wrong. But the Bible also makes it very clear that you can be forgiven of this lifestyle and that God can help you to overcome this lifestyle and give you back a regular, normal life and a happy life.
Father, we just come to you and thank you for this day, Father. Just bless everybody around this table and this meal and our time together tonight. We just ask this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Ira, yes, here's this. Do you want sweet tea?
Freedom at Last Ministries has 2 live-in centers in Wichita.
Yeah, ice.
Where people from literally all over the world, we've had people from Germany and all over the United States, come to seek a time of refuge, of safety, of healing, where they can start to learn who they really are. People cannot really enter into the program without at least a minimum of a 1-year commitment.
Anybody more salad while I'm up? Jim, more salad?
Some people have been in the program for 2 years now, and there's some people who will probably be in longer.
Hey, who wants more salad? Who wants salad?
I want some.
He wants, yeah, just a little.
You want some?
Most of us who get to this point, our lives have been out of control. Just tremendously out of control. I'd go looking for a homosexual encounter with somebody, and all of a sudden it would be 2, then 3, then 4, 5 o'clock, and I'd rush back to work so I could punch out and go back to resume until I found something that satisfied me.
It had such a control on me, I could not get away from it. My whole time, I remember I used to complain about having to drive 30 minutes to work, but it was nothing to drive 3 hours to another mall someplace in another town to be able to go cruising.
I would spend the whole day, and after the day was over, you just want to kick yourself and say, why did I waste the day? All the good things that I could have done today.
It's wonderful to have a clean conscience, just to feel good. It's good to feel good, you know? And not have to be worried about, I wonder if he's looking at me this way. I wonder if I should wear my hair like this. I wonder if I should I buy that? Because I really want to look good. I want this guy to look at me. You know, it's just none of that crap anymore. I can just go out if I put on a few pounds, or if my hair is not just right, or there's egg in my teeth. It's like, who cares?
Here in the Living Center, we have a strong accountability to one another into the leadership of the house, and that we have a very structured environment. We have to have a daytime job. We can't work weekends, you know, and each night we have something planned for us.
Once we get the car all cleaned off, we'll go on inside and plan menus for the week, make sure everybody's got their meals planned and the grocery list made up, and then whose turn is it to go to the grocery store?
I think I might be going with somebody. I'll get somebody to go with me. It means I got my car movable and can get out.
Okay. Who's going with you?
Uh-oh. We'll get somebody. Maybe Tim.
About the only time that the individuals are by themselves is when they go to work. The rest of the time, they're not really to leave the house without another person, so that if there's the temptation to cruise or anything like that, there's someone there always accountable to their struggle.
Romantically now, I'm looking at women, I'm going, there's beauty there. There's some beautiful women out there.
Yes.
I don't think I'm looking at them lustfully, but I'm looking at them in a different light of that's what God's intended, and I'm looking at them for the first time and thinking, yeah, I want a wife.
I like that tie.
I'm still attracted to men. There's still things that trigger me.
Well, maybe.
But not so much as I used to be. I mean, I'm getting real comfortable around being other men. I work in a job, and I find myself less and less looking and wanting. It's becoming a pretty numb state, I would say, a state of where the Lord is changing that to where it's not such a thing I look at and go, oh, you know, rather I can look at it and go, oh, okay.
If Ira said that he couldn't come out of the homosexual lifestyle and he asked me what he should do, I think I would say that he should remain celibate, for the reason being that I don't think he would ever find true happiness in homosexuality.
Well, we just said we couldn't condone that lifestyle. We still love him, but we couldn't have much to do with him on that part of it.
What does that mean? You can't condone?
We can't tell him, well, we're just look the other way as long as you're happy. We can't do that.
What would you tell him? Would you tell him, go do it, but don't tell us about it? Or would you tell
No.
him?
Tell him he's better off just living by himself then, if he could.
Without anyone?
Mm-hmm. Without anyone. So we're hoping this program will help him. But if it didn't, I don't know what we do. We just have to see what'll come about.
Thank you, Lord. Praise you, Lord. Thank you. Even though we are wretched.
We used to think that homosexuality was psychological. Now we think there are biological factors involved, but either way, it's very difficult for a person to change. People ask about changing. They ask about, can a homosexual change their orientation? And you have to define that. Human beings are extremely flexible animals. We can go up into space, we fly in the sky, we live under the water. We do amazing things that no other animal does. And a human being can live their life differently than the way they feel. We have people who we send as spies to other countries, and they live their whole life pretending to be a Russian or a Persian or something else when they really aren't. They're really from, Minnesota. And it's the same thing. There are some homosexual people who so strongly want to live a heterosexual lifestyle, because it's a lot easier, that they can play act like an actor their lives as heterosexual. However, most cannot do that, and the outcome is depression or suicide for most people who have to live their whole lives pretending to be somebody that they're not.
It's particularly important for an adolescent, if he comes for help, to help him recognize if he is in fact homosexual, that he is. Because he's had fantasies from his childhood, because he has these sexual drives that are very powerful, and not to drive him into having sex with women, which can make him feel passionless, can make him feel sick, and make him feel like that never in his life is he ever going to be able to experience love or passion for another. That is devastating for an adolescent.
Every other Friday night, Judith and I go out to Hatch, and Hatch is Houston Area Teen Coalition for Homosexuals.
Oh, life's been hard.
It is hard. Hope you can talk about it tonight.
Yeah, I do.
It's a gathering of young teens, lesbian and gays, that are 15 to 22 years old. It used to be that the gathering place for gays and lesbians, the only place that they had to connect with one another was a bar. And it's important, particularly at this age, that they have other places to go.
Women's group is in room 14 tonight, and we'll talk about any subject that's on your mind, and we'll just talk about a topic that y'all come up with tonight.
In going into the meeting, it was amazing the comfort level that these young women already had with their sexuality. They had some problems, but nothing like what we dealt with years ago. We still, as adults and lesbians, have issues to deal with our parents. Judith's 35 years old. I am 46, and I still have to deal with my parents on a different level, because I'm a lesbian. It makes it hard when the people that are next to us, the people that are supposed to be the closest to us, the people that are supposed to be safe, aren't safe, and they don't treat us the same. And I know that you've talked before about some problems in your family.
I just came out at Thanksgiving to my whole family, and my dad is really supportive of me. I can't imagine, like, now that I'm out and he knows, I feel so much better. I mean, there's just this air of confidence now when I talk to him about anything, that I just kind of remind myself, you told him, congratulations. And he didn't kick me out. I mean, he was very understanding.
My parents said this year, we don't know why you chose this, but we love you. Don't you get that from your parents, that they think that this was a choice?
I mean, I don't choose to like girls, I mean, for a while there, I was thinking, okay, it'll be real easy. I'll just go out with the guy and, no problem. My dad will be, really happy. And I mean, I couldn't do it.
I think that if you're a lesbian, there is something besides sexual response in being with a woman. There's something there in the range of response available and the emotional intimacy available that's not there with a man. I think after that first relationship with a woman, I knew deep inside that this was me, this was who I was, that I was a lesbian. But I didn't want to be. I mean, I didn't want to be that different. I didn't want to be different in a way that you were damned by your family and the entire society that you lived in. I mean, that hurt too much. That was too dangerous.
I love the softness of a woman. I love the tenderness. Even though I've been married to a very nice man who I really cared for very deeply. It's not the same.
I like the way her lips feel. Her lips are really warm. I remember the first time we were together, I was just entranced by, you know, this golden skin, by the color of her skin.
I don't like big dogs. I like little soft dogs, you know. And to me, it's like being with a man's like petting a German Shepherd. These Hatch kids, they don't have to get married. They don't have to do things that don't feel right.
They're willing to be out at school. They're willing to wear T-shirts that proclaim their sexuality as part of who they are.
Taste this one, it's blueberry.
Who's to say what's normal? I mean, to us, this is normal. This is natural, and
we're happy.
I think that if you love somebody, I don't think you should give yourself limits. You know, I don't care. You know, I don't care what color somebody is or what sex they are. If I love them, that's who I'm going to be with.
I know it's right when I'm with a woman because, I mean, it just feels right. You know, you get the tingling in your tummy and and you feel excited. No, we don't need the cats to play. We should keep them high.
Trying to hang them a little deeper in.
They're confronting their parents about this. They're not waiting till they're 45 years old. They're doing it when they're 15 or they're 17.
We need to put something else in there. That's kind of a dead spot. The only dead spot on the tree.
My dad suggests that that the reason I'm gay is because of an effect of my childhood. I really don't think that it's, you know, it's a phase or something I'm going to outgrow or something that could have been different because he loved me, you know, if he had loved me differently.
According to all of my training, all I've ever known, this is a lifestyle that isn't particularly in best keeping with God's wishes or God's plan. However, that's God's business with her in that relationship and not necessarily my job alone to change that.
I do not agree with his lifestyle, but I still love him.
We do have parents who come to Hatch, some quite regularly. They are trying to understand their children and their children's lives.
His dad and his brother and his uncles and everyone are man's man. And Bobby never did care for that.
Brandy was just very, very masculine from
day one.
Yeah. She was not quite like other kids. You know how people talk about their daughters being tomboys and that. Well, Brandy was not a tomboy. She was a boy. I mean, you know, she wanted to use the restroom outside like her boy cousins did. She, you know, she was just very, very different. But when she told me when she was 11, she came in and she says, "Mom, I'm gay. Deal with it." I mean, you know, that's it, period. And it was hard. I threw a fit. She went to her room and ignored me. You know, she gave me my time to cry and to mourn. And that's what you do. I mean, you know, when your child tells you they're not like you thought they should be and they're not going to have families or not the normal families, it gets really hard.
We cried because you have a child and you bring him up to the best of your ability and you got all these hopes for him. And then they come in and they tell you, well, this is not what I want. This is what I am. But he's Bobby. And I love him.
I'm still dealing with it sometimes. I still rag on her about having grandkids and stuff.
Your other family members, how have they reacted?
Her stepdad, my husband, just ignores it, and he tells her on occasion he does not want queers in his house. Of course, I get a little irate and tell him, well, tough, you know. There happens to be one living here, you know. But my mother had a really hard time dealing with it.
One of the reasons why my mom asked about family is we don't have the closest family as far as, you know, like aunts and uncles and stuff like that go. And when I came out, they more or less, I mean, it's not there anymore. They pretty much, you know, just left her abandoned. And it's really hard.
Nosotros somos él y yo. La familia no nos importa, ni lo que diga el mundo. Y digo, nosotros
ellos, ella, somos una nueva familia. Estamos aquí y es para apoyarnos todos. Eso es todo lo que tengo que decir. Él es mi hijo y yo lo quiero. Y aquí estamos.
Just like what your parents said, I'm her son, and that's it. Nobody else matters because I'm her son. It has to be that way.
Smile. Thank you.
It's obvious sometimes when you look over at those parents that they're uncomfortable. But they're there and they're trying, and most of them keep coming back.
I want to know what's going to happen when your family sees both of you here at this function on HBO.
I support my brother, what can I say? These young people in Hack, they're finding other people that are like them and finding out that it's okay. And they're going back and they're saying things just like I said to my mother last week. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm very proud of who I am. I'm very proud of my lifestyle. I'm very proud of the woman that I've chosen to spend my life with. And you can't make me be ashamed. Bye.
Thank you. Enjoy Bermuda. Have a good vacation you're going to make this weekend. Go down here.
In front of each other, all the way across, so that we have the couples out in this area, but spread out just a little bit. With your other half, if you'll just make sure you're by them. With those couples now on my right, if you tell that person why you love them and why this ceremony is important to you right now.
This moment I choose to stand and declare my joy in loving you. The words I say to commemorate this day don't fit a ceremony for beginnings. So this day instead is a day for celebrating what will take a lifetime to express. When I first made a commitment to you, I sensed that we would be wonderful for each other. But I never dreamed that we would exceed my expectations. As quietly and as naturally as one day gives to another, so too have I grown to trust and to cherish you, Judith. This moment, I want nothing more than to share my life with you.
Couples, you may kiss.
Congratulations to you. It's very moving. Congratulations. So sweet. You all look crazy. Thank you.
Yes.
This is our first marriage.
4.5 years. Thank you very much.
Feel different now?
Yeah. Validated, I guess.
Heart always did what a normal heart should do. If you always play a part instead of being who you really are, then you might just miss the one who's standing there. So instead of passing by, show him that you care. Instead of asking why me and why you? Why not 'cause love don't need a reason. Love don't always rhyme, and love is all we have for now. What we don't have is time. Love is all we have for now. What we don't have is time.
Hi, I'm